How's everybody doing today? This is Mr. J. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to share something. As you can see, my co-host Harley Quinn is not on her easel today because I got a new poster from a movie, the upcoming Justice League movie, and I just wanted to bust this out and share it with you guys and be able to... The fuck is this? Fail. Ladies and gentlemen, it's another beautiful weekend. Hello and welcome back to Mr. J's Big Book of Movies, where my quest is to find the best movies into land to put into my Big Book of Movies. What is the Big Book of Movies? The Big Book of Movies is a collection of films I should be immortalized for what they are. What does it take to get into the Big Book? That's what we do every Saturday, every weekend to find out. On a side note, if you hear any clangs and bangs during today's podcast, winter has started in Cleveland. So we have radiators, so we have steam heat. So you might hear that clicking and clanging in the background. That's what that is, so do not be concerned. As we all know, the 80s was a unique time period. There are some good movies, there are some terrible movies, and it definitely has its own style. And we're going to look at one of these 80s movies, classic 80s. It can't be any other time period but that. It's actually a fun little movie. It's the first time I saw it because I was a lot younger when this came out. I'm talking about Adventures in Babysitting. Adventures in Babysitting was released July 3rd. 1987. I was 6 years old. And was directed by Chris Columbus. IMDb states that a babysitter must battle her way through the big city after being stranded there with the kids she's looking after. I'm not going to agree with that one. The whole point of the movie is they had to go downtown. And that's one thing that's weird. They call it the big city. It's obvious that they live in Chicago. You could see the Chicago license plates. You could see the Chicago skyline. You could see the elevated trains. This is definitely Chicago. Anyway, the main character's best friend that we see in the beginning of the movie decides to run away from home. And it's up to our main character, Elizabeth Shue, to go downtown and rescue her from the bus station. That's the movie. That's the plot of the movie. That's the storyline. Everything else that happens is the adventure of Adventures in Babysitting. Other than that, the storyline is just that. We have to go downtown to rescue our best friend from a bus station after she tried to run away from home. So looking at the top of the line, we have the Rewatch Factor. For this movie, I gave the Rewatch Factor a 3. This is a perfect type of movie that comes on TV. You can have it on in the background. Even if you haven't seen it before, there's not going to be a lot edited out of the movie. And the creepiest thing about this movie is seeing all these actors and actresses when they were a lot younger than what they are now. So it's kind of fun throwback to see. If you hear some walking around, that's my cat. She's playing with her toys back there, so you're going to hear her pick up on that. Anyways, but seeing all those actors and actresses when they were a lot younger than they are now, it's an amazing throwback to see. As far as storyline goes, I give the storyline a 3 as well because it's middle of the road. The concept, the initial storyline, going downtown and rescuing your friend from a bus station, that's like the least important thing of the movie. But it's all the mishappenings that happen while going downtown, like the story that they tell about a one-armed man killing a whole bunch of kids while they're driving in the car. And then meeting a one-armed man who actually helps them out. And it's kind of... You get the family vacation type of thing, like one calamity on top of another calamity, and somehow all the calamities tie together. But it was a fun film. I'm not going to fault it for that because it's definitely a product of its time. So I'm not going to look down on it. but it's one of those 80s misadventure type movies. Character-wise, I wanted to give this movie a 2, but there were some actually pretty funny characters. The things that they did, their acting was kind of over the top, but when you understand why they act that way, it adds a little charm for it. For example, the little girl is a big Thor lover. Now, she should have been in the newest Thor movies, like just a background character or something, or she should have been Thor's girlfriend in the first one. But she's just so in love with Thor. Like, she has Thor bedspread, she has Thor's helmet, she has even a hammer that she carries around, and it's pretty adorable. The older brother was very creepy, and I guess he's a freshman in high school, and Elizabeth Shue is a senior in high school, so they knew each other, they knew of each other, and until this day, it was hinted at that they never spoke to each other in school. So, because of this evening, that's when they became friends. Other than that, there's kind of stereotypical cookie-cutter characters, and there are actually 3 black people in this movie that spoke, so you get the seal of approval for that one. Appearance-wise, this movie gets a 3. They use really bad backgrounds, but it was acceptable. The one part that made me laugh the most was there was an individual that was a carjacker, and you could see that they had Porsches and Rolls Royce and Ferraris, but then he rolls up in like a basic Cadillac. I just thought that was funny. But it was easy to figure out that they were in Chicago. I mean, you saw the elevated trains. You saw this specific building right here. I think that's the MedLife building. Don't quote me on that. If you know the actual building, feel free to drop a comment in there. But they didn't show the Sears Tower. So I guess they didn't want to be too obvious, and they always refer to downtown as the city and not Chicago. Yet you can see the Chicago license plates on some of the cars. But I mean, other than that, they did a good job for 1987. So 3 for the score. Enjoyment, this was funny. I do give enjoyment a 4. It had a long ending, and I was kind of bored out with the ending, but the rest of the movie was pretty funny. You did laugh about how ridiculous everything was, and it was funny. It was supposed to be funny, and I'm not gonna fault them for that. So I am gonna give the enjoyment a 4. Well, that's about it as far as the 5 categories go, and what we do here at the end is we add up the 5 categories, because the 5 categories equal a score, and that score equals a grade. As far as the rewatch factor, as far as the rewatch factor, it gets a score of a 3. As far as the storyline, it receives a score of a 3. As far as the characters go, it's the score of a 3. And I'm going to make an amendment. When it comes to appearance, I'm going to upgrade the score from a 3 to 4 points. I feel it's the right thing to do. I appreciated what they were trying to do. And finally, we have the enjoyment with a score of a 4. Altogether, that is a score of a 17. And that 17 equals a B. And yes, it was a B movie. And it was cute for its time. No, it cannot stand for today. For today's time, for example, they had a flat tire, and they had no way of contacting anybody for help with it. But, I mean, with all that being said, with the score, with the grade, but does it get into the big book of movies? That's the biggest question that we're trying to find out. And the answer is no, not today. This was a very cute movie. It does have a cult following, but I don't feel this is the type of movie I'm going to have immortalized and remember for all time. Good try, but not today. Well, that's about all the time we have here on today's episode of Mr. J's Big Book of Movies. Don't forget to catch me here every Saturday for new episodes. You can listen to my movie review podcast, Eye for an Eye with Mr. J. That is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. You can follow us on Facebook on our Facebook fan page at I4Mr. J. You can follow us on Twitter on our Twitter page at I for an Eye, spelled just like the podcast. Oh yeah, by the way, the podcast is available every Tuesday and Thursday. I don't think I mentioned that. You can email me anytime, anywhere, mws_216@yahoo.com. And most important of all, below, comment and subscribe. Yes, very fun things to do. Do that below because you help make this channel what it is. As far as I'm concerned, this chapter is now closed.